Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversation. And today is what I call Mindset Monday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to chat about something interesting and intriguing. And today we are talking about how to write your way up. Now, you may be wondering, what does that mean? Well, my very special guest is going to tell you all about it. And there is a competition that is associated with this topic. And so you want to stick around and find out more about how to write your way up. My very special guest is Dr. Kendra Mitchell, who I consider a sister friend. And so I am super excited and delighted to have her with me tonight. But before I bring Dr. K on, I need to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? Let us know in the comments. Put your city and state in the comments. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Your comments, your questions are very much so welcome as we talk about how to write your way up. But tag a friend. Let them know they need to be on here. Let them know. So I see some folks in the chat. Let's see. Chef Shack is in the house. Hey, Chef Shack. Two of my fave people in the same place. Yes, yes, yes. Love it. In the ATL. Thank you for being here. All right. We got Brother Quasi, who is also in the ATL. So thank you for being here, Brother Quasi, and Mr. Warren Cave. I'm excited to join in on the best conversations in the world with Nicole Everett. Thank you. Dr. Mitchell, Warren Cave, Tallahassee by way of Miami. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. So, y'all, I don't know what I did with Dr. K's bio. So just know that she's wonderful. And she's a friend of mine. And we're going to have her let her introduce her own self because I don't know what I did with it. So, without further ado, Dr. Kendra L. Mitchell. Yay!
This is amazing. I'm already having a good time.
Good.
So you want to just jump in and introduce myself?
Normally I say tell the people who you are, not what you do, but you need to tell them everything.
Everything.
Right?
And I don't have a problem with it. We're talking with family. So hello. I am Dr. Kendra Mitchell, aka Dr. K, and I am associate, my day job is associate professor of English and modern languages, as well as the director of the FAMU Writing Resource Center, of course, at the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, right? And when I am not doing those things, those duties, which seems to be pretty much around the clock, I am also, let me tell you a little bit more. I teach there in the English department, right? Shout out to English. And there I teach a range of courses, and over the past, 6-7 years, who's counting? I have taught anywhere from developmental writing. So that's your incoming freshmen who need some assistance with adjusting to maybe writing demands in the college level. Maybe they have accommodations that need support in the fast-paced college campus life. So I'm there to help them transition. And then all the way up to, I've taught linguistics, I've taught advanced grammar. I'll be teaching that again this fall. I am also teaching ENC 1101 and 1102, your incoming freshman writing courses, and pretty much everything else in between. So I've had an opportunity to have a very broad stroke in teaching writing at FAMU. I have also had the opportunity to teach at Florida State in my graduate program. That's where I earned my master's and PhD in rhetoric and composition studies. So basically, I've studied how we write, um, um, techniques of writing, and this is far beyond grammar, but it doesn't exclude grammar. I'm really good and I love talking about grammar, but that's not the extent or the limit of what I know. It's really more like how we make meaning with words, images, texts, all of them sound. I study those things, and particularly how that moves around in the Black community. But that's not all I do. But that I look at multilingualism. I look at language differences. My dissertation study focused on the writing habits of African American language speakers and writers in the FAMU Writing Resource Center. So I've done research on this kind of stuff. So it's really kind of my thing to talk about writing. I love doing it, and that's enough.
Nice, nice, nice. So tell us how long you've been over at the writing center.
Ooh, that is a very interesting question. This is a full circle moment. So I'm the director now. I've been the director for since 2024. Fall of 2024. But I was one of the original tutors back in 2004 for the Writing Resource Center. Now, the Writing Center, there was another iteration that predates me. But I was one of the faithful four in the beginning under the supervision of Dr. Veronica Yan, who now serves as our department chair.
Nice.
And so she had a long stint, taught me just about everything I know. She would deny it. But I learned the profession. I became a professional in the Writing Resource Center, unknowingly, just learning at the heels of someone who was willing to share. So I pushed through all of my writing insecurities in that space. I learned to study the areas that I was weak in. And before I knew it, I became the quote unquote manual, as some of the tutors called me. But yeah.
Now, you said your own writing insecurities. I can't even imagine it.
Ooh, I can't wait to get into it. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me pause. Chef said, yay, Dr. K. And Miss Brittany is joining us here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here, Brittany. So let's start off with this title, How to Write Your Way Up. What does that mean?
Okay, I got to tell you a story. Everything is about storytelling. Writing, read, all that storytelling. So in 2007, I can tell you when it happened. I was tutoring a student in the School of Business. That's where I actually started off. I was a business major before I was an English major.
SBI.
Yes. And so I was kind of talking the talk and kind of trying to convince him of the significance of becoming proficient in the writing that he had to do for his class. I was like, hey man, you want to go on? And he was like, oh no, I'm going to make all this money and I'm just going to pay people to do all my writing. And I was like, oh, you are not aware of what you're about to enter, in this workforce. And this was, again, 2007. So we're not talking AI. We're talking you're going to have to pay top dollar on every turn, every email, every memo, So I went to my director, and one thing about Dr. Yan that I have to give her flowers, she helped me by giving me a lot of freedom. She did not limit and then say, oh no, you're a tutor, you can't do this. If I wanted to do it, she was like, give me the plan. Show me, So I had to practice, what I preach. So I came up with a proposal for a week of workshops to bring in, just some of my friends, some of the people I knew who were professionals, people I respected in the community, others did too, and have them share how writing played a role in their profession, everyday life. Everyday life, you wake up with. So that was the first attempt, a very low budget, very just shoestring. Kendra, buys a bag of popcorn, and hopefully, And it was something that we continued to invest in. And eventually it grew beyond my stay at the center, because in 2009, I had an opportunity to go to graduate school. But it
Okay.
continued beyond that moment, and it grew into poetry, and community writers coming in and having specialized topics from other people in different disciplines to talk about their research, because I was
Okay.
like, hey, students don't really realize or see their professors as writers. They see them
Mm,
as everything else but
mm,
human. So sharing their writing process was something a part of that as well. So that write your way up, in essence, was a way to use the power of the pen to
mm,
move yourself out of your current situation, whatever that might be. It can be emotional, it can be professional, right? It can be somewhere in between. Through the to move yourself, use that to move yourself into your desired place through practice, through community, right? So
mm.
that's what peer review is: writing in community, right? So all of those things, and also facing the challenges that come, right, from internally first, and then also externally.
So I'm writing notes, right?
I see you. I see you.
Okay. So that's powerful. Using the power of the pen to move yourself to your desired place. And I'm gonna just kind of
Leave it.
leave it there, because
Yeah.
that's can be many different things, right?
Yeah.
Um and so just we going with that definition. So for those who are tuning in, so you understand kind of where we're coming from when we talk about this thing. So I want to pause because we have several folks that have joined us. Miss Kiosha Forreston is here, tuning in from Tallahassee. We got Miss Teresa Nick. She said, "All right, fellow SBI alum. Good evening, my people." So Dr. K went on to English, right?
I was like, I can't say alum. I was there during the Sybil Mobley age, but I had to tap on now to go to English.
Well, I'm a SBI alum, so yes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Tracy Golay is here. Thank you for being here. And one of my mentees, I believe this is Kiana. She said right on time. Thank you for being here. She's down in the Tampa area, and Mom down in Miami. Thank you for joining us, Mom. So let me pause before we really get into this talk, right? But I did want to lay the foundation of how to write your way up, like writing your way up, what that means. But this came about as a result, in terms of you being here with us now, of a video that I saw. You had an interview on social, and it was about a contest that's taking place. So if you don't mind, share with us about the contest.
Yes, yes, yes. So um, I was invited through the provost and other leadership to create a writing competition.
Mhm.
And as for this year, to go along with the America 250 celebration that's happening around the country. And I said,
Mhm.
well, I thought about it, and I said, well, how can I make this align with our institutional uniqueness? And
Right.
so with that, I decided to kind of think about even some of the assignments that I've done in the past.
Mhm.
Even the summer camps I've done, I've centered it around the unique museums and artifacts that we have on the FAMU campus,
Mhm.
and really just to allow students to dig a little deeper beyond just writing to get a grade, but writing to understand themselves, writing to understand their legacy, their family history,
Mm.
their greater context of FAMU and the significance of FAMU. So I was like, hey, why not invite everybody to do the same?
Yes.
And see, because it's always been meaningful, not just for me reading, but the students who will write. And
Mhm.
so this is an opportunity to see what else we can do to celebrate and honor together our institution's contributions to refining, our society.
I love that. I really, really do. So the contest has begun, right?
Yeah, so the contest is about to wrap up. March 31st is the closing of that competition. And
Mhm.
this is not only is this the first writing competition the Writing Resource Center is leading, right? Because our department has done writing contests over the years. And so it's not unique to our department, but it is unique to the Writing Resource Center. And
Okay.
so what I am doing is kind of cobbling some of these other experiences, so what I've seen, observed through that space, as well as some other events and conversations, like I said, the assignments I've provided. So the prompts are listed on our website. And if you're having a hard time with the QR code, you really
Mhm.
can just find it by searching FAMU America 250. And
Yes.
it's at the top of the page. So that will make it very simple for you. And of course, that is the direct URL. But the prompts are listed on that page. And one of the prompts is directed towards HBCUs. I don't limit it to that. We kind of open it up. But I think
Mhm.
it would be interesting to have the FAMU, not only FAMU students, both undergrad and graduate students, but we've included and partnered with FAMU DRS. And this is the first time the Writing Center has been able to do that successfully. And I'm very excited
Yes.
that we are getting to do that. And we will be able to actually hold the event for the ceremony, the culminating ceremony on April 10th.
Mhm.
Uh, I think it's from 2 to 4, and that will be at FAMU DRS. And so we're looking forward to that. But we also have this last piece where we get to have an open call that is for the broader community in Leon County. And so
Mhm.
this is for all adults. So anybody 18 and over and older, no cap. So don't ask me if I'm 62, can I do? Yes, because I think the point for me, what I'm really looking forward to is treating this like an archive.
Mm.
Um, and it is a stamp and a way to, yes, thank you. I think it is a way to chronicle how we're seeing ourselves.
Yeah.
And I say we can be very diverse. We can be our FAMU student population. I'm a researcher. So I'm
Mm.
always thinking about what can we do with this beyond this moment. And
All right.
so it would be an interesting conversation to assess how we talk about ourselves as a city, as a higher ed institution, K-12. How are we processing this moment? How are we celebrating our wins?
Right.
What does it mean for us to even be in this
Mm.
moment and to be bold enough to be creative?
Yeah. No, I love that. Letitia just joined us. She said, Happy Mindset Monday. I'm ready for this topic. I think Letitia maybe writes or has a desire to. I feel like she's mentioned that in some previous conversations that we've had. So I think we have folks that maybe like myself uh kind of have a desire to write, but maybe are a little, I don't know, squeamish about it, or don't necessarily even know where to begin in terms of writing. So, what would you say
Mhm.
to the novice writer?
Oh, I think I would. We're novices in one way or another. I said,
Mm,
so while I might have some proficiency in some area, right?
mhm,
I don't know all of them.
right.
And so I'm going to be new at something, and it's okay to learn. I think if you give yourself permission to learn, you can give yourself permission to write.
Okay, I can get with that.
Yeah, okay. So it becomes less intimidating because what happens is that we're often comparing our initial thoughts to someone's finished product.
Hmm.
And that's going to be your enemy right there. Public enemy number one is you and your mind, right? Mindset Monday. So it,
Exactly.
this is an opportunity. Everybody has to shift. Like you can shift your mindset, how you and usually When we're talking about our writing and showing up on the page, we're really talking about our identities, right? And
Mm.
somewhere, I don't have a PhD in this, all right? So I'm not a
Woo,
counselor,
wait a
but
minute.
I know a thing or two, right? About a thing or two. And
Mhm.
I will say, because writing studies, we dabble in all of these areas. In order for me to study writing, I have to know your habits of
Mm.
the mind. And so I address those matters quite competently. I can kind of see it really quickly, like, oh, okay, this is something that has to do with something beyond this moment. And I've been tutoring for a long time, right? But also, I came to the profession as a hesitant writer.
Yeah.
I came to this, when I tell you very quickly, when I was a really good writer in high school, but it was a troubled path. I mean, I struggled. And the reason I struggled is because I didn't realize that my approach to writing really looked like, if as long as I can prove to myself I can do it, then I'll do it, and I'm done. I'm not going to really pick it back up, right? Doesn't
Mhm.
really help when you have to go through processes. It doesn't help when you're not good at everything the first time, right?
Mm.
So you have to trust the process. And I know we say that a lot, but there is a lot of good nuggets, and you get the stamina to face your ugly drafts when you go through the process. If you try to jump past the middle and say, hey, I'm starting here and it has to be perfect or else, then you miss all of the other refined things that help you have sustainability in the writing process, which is really the process of becoming and discovering. It's
Come
not
on.
ever, oh, what did you say?
I said, come on now. Listen, you are dropping gems, ma'am. I don't even know if you realize it, but you done talked about identity, the habits of the mind, the
Yeah.
process, the ugly drafts. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's so much there. Anyway,
But
go
see, and I say ugly drafts only because that's how we usually start with, like beginners, they usually are always harder on themselves than professionals are on themselves. They
ahead.
usually are like, hey, this is par for the course. This is exactly what it's supposed to do. And if it's doing what it's supposed to do, being a baby, an infant, you don't expect the newborn to be a toddler. If you do, something's wrong, right? And so we have to give the newborn an opportunity to breathe. Let them breathe, let them acclimate.
I'm
Come
over
on now.
here. I'm over here deep breathing over here as I'm taking in all of this medicine that you're giving me because
Tell me slow
I'm
down if I
very
have to.
hard on myself as it relates to the writing
Yeah.
thing.
And I was too, so it, and the thing I do now, I catch myself. So what the process has taught me, and I could tell you, look, we could talk over and over about this, my dissertation process, because I mean, oh my gosh, I the way I went through grad school, I try to coach people out of my process and into a better process, because when you're spinning your wheels and you're doubting yourself the whole time, you don't get the beauty of enjoying the newborn. You don't get the beauty of saying, wow, look at what I have birthed. I
Mm,
birthed something.
wow.
I didn't have, it was just a seed before,
Mhm.
and now it's alive. Will it grow? I have to feed it though. If it's going to grow, that means I have to. Somebody else may have to do a watch over it. So that means they may have to give me some feedback. Don't hold the baby that way. Hold the baby this way. This, someone who's probably have studied it or been in this way before.
Yeah.
So if we have the tools around us, we
Mhm.
just don't apply it to this thing because of a false sense of um, a need to be perfect instantly. And that you got to kind of do that work to see, well, who offered that?
Mm.
Who told you that? Because it's not true. No, it's not true. It does not. There's no evidence of that being true.
Mhm.
Um, and we know that, again, riding a bike, you fell off the bike and now you don't want to ride the bike. Well, we would call that a trauma. Yeah. So
So that mindset shift, right?
The mindset shift. Yeah. So it's very important. And I think you cheat yourself of your own voice. When
Mm,
you don't, like, I think out of all the things that you lose a part of yourself. When
mm,
you don't speak up on the page, when you don't show up to the best of your ability. And for me, when I showing up for me meant, you know what, I recognize where the gaps are in my learning. I'm not going to wait for a class. I have books I can read. My thing that I used to tell myself is that if Frederick Douglass could teach himself how to read when it was illegal, surely I could teach myself this grammar rule. That
surely.
surely, if it's in
Sure.
a book, I can learn it. That's how and I didn't know how empowering it was
Yeah.
until, again, I was quoted as the Kendra manual. People would come to me, was like, well, what's the rule for that? I didn't realize it because I was still striving for a particular place. I'm always striving. And I was
Mm,
still striving for this place
mhm.
that was so far off, but I didn't realize the gaps were closing. But that's what the feedback is for. If you trust people to give you feedback, and sometimes it's not even direct feedback, it's their
Mhm.
response to your excellence, the way you show up.
Mm.
And when they see something different, they respond differently, and then you need to take that as information and to respond differently internally.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's real good. Mama Yada has joined us. Thank you for being here. And Enigma Sep said, indeed, who is also here in Tallahassee. So, oh boy, y'all, your questions are welcome. Okay, so bring them on if you have any questions that you want to, especially any aspiring writers or new writers or writers that may be experiencing writer's block or
Mhm.
um, need some encouragement. So, I'm gonna go to some of my questions that I had.
Okay.
And so you actually have covered quite a bit, quite a few of them, but um have you yourself experienced writer's block? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Yeah, well, I think I look at writer's block very differently
Okay.
now. There was a time when I saw it as something that I needed to get out of myself, like
Okay.
eradicate, like, oh no, that's bad. Writing flow is good. But
Mhm.
I use writer's block now because I get it when I don't have enough information.
Mm.
So I treat it as information about the new thing that's in front of me.
Okay.
If I'm not flowing, there is a reason why. And it's
Mm.
not because I am bad, it's because there's something obstructing the flow,
Mhm.
right?
Oh,
Because I have worked on myself. Yes, good.
yeah.
I have worked on myself in the sense of how I see myself, and that's because I fed myself over the years what I needed to feed myself, right? So
Okay.
that when I show up, I don't leave my value in the hands of others. I
Mm.
don't You don't get to decide whether or not my words matter. I come to you with words that matter. So I'm
Mm.
not waiting for that validation. Now you can tell me, a lot of things about the words that matter. Maybe they don't fit your story. Okay. But then that means that there's an audience shift that needs to happen, not I have to change my words. You see? So I have gotten that, and that comes from, much prayer. Time spent with the Lord, and then time spent in my craft.
Yeah.
And now when I look at writer's block, to go back to your question,
Mm.
I see it as, okay, am I really blocked or am I in the process?
Mm.
Um, I teach, those of you came in a little later, I'm a professor. I teach writing from various levels, but I can teach it to young people. I can teach it to seasoned people. It doesn't really matter because I know how to identify the source or the root cause, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so if I see that you are lacking information, it's a new topic and you have not given it the credit it is for being new, broad and vast. And you're treating it like you should know it already, and therefore you write as if you know all of it. And
Gotcha.
any good writer knows that they don't know all.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So when you talk in absolutes, I am already questioning your foundation. I'm curious about, I'm just curious. And I could be wrong about my questions, but usually I'm not, because we perform where we don't know. We fill in the gaps somewhere because we're always trying to preserve ourselves in these ways that really aren't as necessary if you show up authentically and go through the process. So the writing is a process. All writing is a process. Some of them you have mastered and you don't realize you haven't given yourself credit for. So you call it easy. No, this comes easily. No, you just went through the process. And you mastered this thing. You have not mastered that thing because you run from it.
Ooh, stepping all on my toes.
So yeah, if I asked you to, I think everybody in this line has made a grocery list. And whether you type it on phone, that's still composing. That's writing. Type it on phone, you write it, it's legible, you have a code for it, maybe you have it systematized by color, but you're writing. That is writing, but you dismiss it because you have done it for so long, it's automated now. You don't have to think about it. But there are processes to that. You didn't just wake up and go from baby to writing grocery lists. You had to observe, you had to watch, you made a mistake somewhere. That was the process. But it's so long, it's so distant that you don't consider it. But when you have a new project, you want to apply the skills that you have mastered in the grocery writing to this new project. Well, you haven't given it the same time.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have to replay this because baby, when I tell you these are some gems, like I'm almost full on my notebook. And we just a little more than half.
Come to my class.
Listen, I need to sit in. I'm serious. So, for those of you who are just tuning in, I am on with Dr. Kendra Mitchell. We are talking how to write your way up. This is a great conversation. So, let me circle back because I forgot to give a shout out to Dr. Monica Hayes, who is on here. Thank you for being here, Dr. Monica. She said, when I'm blocked, I figure I'm not yet ready for the next words. I give myself a break until the spirit moves me again. Love it. Thank you for sharing.
That's great. That's wisdom. I mean, there's so many, and I have so many other suggestions. So yes, you may not know enough information. You may need to pause. Maybe it's not words. Maybe here's another thing. Maybe you need to try a different way of expressing yourself. So maybe it's not writing, but maybe you need to draw a sketch. Maybe it's a picture you need to get, because maybe you'll get more words. Maybe you need to have a conversation. Maybe you need to actually just talk it out, right? Hear yourself by communicating with someone else. We call that a practice audience. So they may not be your intended audience, but they can be a practice audience. So they can stand in, ask the questions that you don't really know to ask yet because maybe it's too big, maybe you're too nervous, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you need to walk. Maybe you need to eat a sandwich. Okay. You probably are hungry. Okay. Who knows? You need a nap. You're trying to push through. I need to push through, and I should be able to just cram this out. No. Don't forget the process. So it may not be a block. There is something else obstructing that flow. Maybe it is something that requires, like I said, maybe another read or another look at something. I picked up, so you didn't ask me this, but something I'm working on now is I have returned to a manuscript for a children's book I wrote over 20 years ago. And it is something that I was so terrified, y'all. It was, oh my gosh. I went to Tallahassee Writers Association. I talked to them, it was like in my 20s, and I just had no clue what I was doing. And there was just so much I didn't know. But I wrote from my heart.
Okay.
And the first children's book I wrote was in a writing course that I took in high school. So I was like, okay, I kind of remember some things, but I didn't know enough. And then I let people, before I had my identity secure, talk me out of moving forward. So it remained in the envelope with my name and all this stuff. And so now, taking all that I'm sharing, I applied it to myself during spring break. And I went back and I said, you know what? I don't know where it lives digitally, but I'm going to type it up and now apply what I know about the structure of a children's book. And because I'm also an editor and all that kind of stuff, I have many, many lives, and God God has blessed me with many gifts, and so my intention is to give them back, and not leave this earth with them in.
Yes.
And so I try to develop that, and so I was like, yeah, let me hone this skill, and it required me to look up animals again. I had to go back and do some so many naps. I had to go and do some research, and it provided me a fresh perspective on a very powerful book. It's still a very powerful book. That means it was not bad when I wrote it. It was just not complete yet. It needed to be revised. I was not mature enough to go through the revision process at the time. I didn't have enough information. I didn't have enough sense of self. I didn't have a lot of experience. But here I am. So it's not too late. So I think sometimes we put artificial timelines on when things are due or needed or needful, and therefore we say we're blocked because we cannot produce. But God has a time and a season for everything. And I think the more we are yielded to that, I'm also a minister, so I just let you know. So I center my world around my faith and the lessons I learned from walking in this faith. And that has taught me a lot about my ignorance, how much as much as I work hard, I show up and I give my corresponding actions, to what I say I have faith in, but he has to increase. And so he will align some things. So sometimes it's a trust matter. Like the first commenter said, let the spirit move you. Like, okay, you know what? This is bigger than me.
Yeah.
This may require other partnerships. Maybe I'm not the person to fill in this gap. Who knows? So there are so many ways to approach writer's block, but I would tell you this: one way is to not approach it is to shut down and to take it as a personal evaluation of who you are as a writer.
Okay.
It's not qualified to tell you that.
What you said, don't leave your value in the hands of others. Okay, so lots of comments and some more folks have joined us. Mama Yada said, this is total alignment. I'm in the process of publishing literally what I've been going through. Just do it. Get out there. Absolutely. Raj joined us. Thank you for being here, Raj. Sister Glover is on. Dolores Glover, she said, do you think some individuals may lose some of their individual creativity due to AI?
So, I love that question. Okay. So, I think that's a yes and no. It just depends on how they use it. Because here's the thing. I have some very strong views, and they're not all positive about AI. Okay. Because I get to see it firsthand how students outsource their thinking in ways that are not the same way that we do in other technology, because the way AI is evolving, it is literally, there are people who are trying to replace human intelligence. Like so I tell them, I try to safeguard them. And then of course the environment, there's so many other factors to consider when we're talking about this. Like, is convenience really, are you really trying not to do the process in order to get your email, to revise your email? Like, you could just stop and think. And I feel like some of those, so here's the negative. I think that it is a thief of process. And like I said, I value process so much because that's where teaching for me happens. And
Right.
that's where the learning lives, in the process. And when I have students who don't have the resilience for process in
Mm.
this way, it does limit what sometimes what they where we can go in, not just the product, like, hey, here's a paper, here's a piece of art,
Mhm.
but it's more like the empathy behind it, the story behind it can
Okay.
get lost sometimes. But at the same time, there is this thing that where other people are, when they are coupling the process that they know with new technology, then you can see good storytelling. But
Mm.
what's happening is that we're giving our students much early, so they're not even getting the full um, thought process, creative, critical thinking before they get it shoved in their faces.
Okay.
And we are not paying attention to research. Research is telling us this is not necessarily good for their emotional health, their development, all these
Mm.
kinds of things. So yeah, there are pros, but there are also a lot of cons.
Yeah. Ron said I have a lot of negative thoughts about AI, especially regarding the damage to the environment that we need
Mm.
to live. Okay. Warren, this is a powerful show and it's motivating me to move. Wonderful. All right. Keisha, I've gotten the title for my book just by attending tonight. Wonderful. Stacy. Hey, Dr. Kendra, help us today. Great content. Thank you. All right, Brittany, you better speak. Yes, Lord. Monica, faith and courage. Yes. And
Mhm.
Stephen out of Chicago. Thank you for joining us, Stephen. Let's see. Warren, I was told to do a 5 and 6 chapter book because I've lived an adventurous life and I should do a series. Oh, I would love to read that from you, Warren. So he said, lots of nuggets. I have one question. I've written over 300 poems on addiction and recovery, and I have
Ooh.
11 chapters of a book I want to publish called Life with a Clean Start. Been stuck since November, maybe. I think
So
he said.
you can email me, that you'll get some contact information. I'm a writing coach, working with publishing. I work with almost all things related to writing. And we can talk offline because I have questions for you. Like, we have to get to how you're defining stuck. What does it mean? Where are you in this process? Like I said, is it that you're stuck, or are you in a writing process? Do you need more information? So we have like a little checklist that we can, use to guide us. And that, I think, will require a little more attention and time than we have tonight.
Nice. All right, very good. Let's see. Who else? Who else? Who else? Oh, Lakeisha, Dr. Johnson, thank you for being here. All right, and Dr. Lee is on. Taronda Lee, thank you for joining us as well. She said, I've chosen a career that requires writing. I really believe I have ADHD,
Let's talk.
related executive function issue. What do you do with students with disabilities? I never learned actual skills to overcome it because I didn't understand what it was.
So here, let me give you a tell real quick. First of all, I was diagnosed in graduate school.
Mm.
So I had to work through and work out my own soul salvation. Okay. So when I say I labored, I labored. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I lived. Okay. And so I have a particular passion when I work with my developmental writing students. And I had a Fulbright to South Africa back in 2016. So I was a guest lecturer at the University of Pretoria there. When I came back to the States, I worked with a private company called Linda Moo Bell. And it was founded by speech and language pathologists who helped um, she developed a program that was proven, right, research proven, to help students on the spectrum and students with ADHD and neurodivergence to scale up in their reading and their writing. And so I was hired for that program and worked with them. So I gained a lot of skills on how to help students and pretty much individuals. So when I say I can spot it, I can spot it. I can see when it shows up. I know how it shows up in me, but I know it's different for different people. But there's some telltale signs with my students, and I slow things down a bit for them, and we chunk it out. We chunk it out. We use timers. We make the things that are invisible visible. So for students who do not struggle with executive dysfunction, they can say, okay, use the calendar. Cool. I'm just gonna do it. But there are times when you don't have enough dopamine. Your brain you can sit there, it can be in front of you, and it's like, oh, look at that timeline go past. And so I do have empathy, but then I also have workarounds. So I help them try to outwit their minds, because these are the brilliant ones. It's like your brain is so powerful. This is why I try to encourage my students not to give all their good stuff to technology. Some of it, reserve some good things for yourself. You don't know all that your brain can do. All right. And especially for those when their brain works against them, it's like, you got to see how powerful your brain is. That is a powerful thing. And guess what? If it can work that way, it can work another way. And so there is support that we provide. And, it's just based on the individual.
She said,
Right?
it
revealed a whole lot of stuff in grad school there. And I mean, look, that's another conversation for another day.
It is.
All right. Made it.
Master Key, who I call Winner, she said, resilience for process. Whew, I need her as a writing coach too. Wonderful. Rachel, thank you for being here. I just saw you at the Becoming Expo. She said, I really appreciate your transparency. It is truly encouraging. Yes. And Roz, thank you, Roz. She telling y'all to like the stream. She telling y'all to like, because Nicole ain't gonna tell y'all, because I'll just be busy talking to the people. Dr. Harrison, just saw you as well at the Becoming Expo. Thank you for all you do, Sister Nicole. My pleasure. And thank you for what you shared with us tonight. And she also said, thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Wonderful. Yeah. All right. Warren, Dr. Kendra, I am getting in touch with you tomorrow. This is another show where Conversations with Nicole sows priceless seeds. I've been immensely blessed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Kayana, thank you. She said, done, Roz. All right, so, all right. It looked like Quasi was trying to get a question going. So, Quasi, we're going to give you a few minutes to get it together. And I saw Nick Rains on here. I don't know if I shouted him out, but hey, Nick, thank you for being here. Okay, so we got a lot of authors on the live too. So quite a few of these folks have cranked out a book or two. So I appreciate that. So, Dr. Lee said, I love that you have such passion and compassion for your students. All of this was awesome. Thank you. All right. So I'm gonna go back to one of my questions. Which again, you probably have already answered many of them. What if there was a writing prompt that you would suggest for somebody that's a beginning or a beginner writer? Where might they start?
Well, I think that is, it just would depend. What are we writing about, right? Okay. Because I have, okay, so I'm thinking back to some of the writing prompts, because I used to do this for my improving writing course, where I would open up with a writing prompt. I had a lot of football players in that class. A lot of people who were so used to, and it was ingrained, it wasn't their fault. They were told that good writing was writing that did not include themselves. But I needed them to include themselves and learn how to write about themselves so they can have some empathy for the conversations we were going to have about other people. I don't want you to be biased going in saying, oh, it's something wrong with these people. Let me fix you. It's like, no, we have enough of that in the world. So, we practiced writing about other things, sometimes whimsical things. And I think if you And we did that in the Linda Moot Bell program as well. Students who were apprehensive, we did all kinds of whimsical conversations that use nonsensical words because it plays with your mind, right? So you're looking for something where you can fix on it and your mind can reject it. You don't even know it. It's so ingrained. That is the protocol that is already defaulted. And so you have to do something to disrupt that protocol. And so I would have I had a storybook that I picked up from Books a Million or Barnes and Noble, and it just had some creative writing prompts. And I would change it up if I wanted them to use vocabulary words. So I was like, okay. At first it was like, words that I thought that they should know. And then it just became words that I thought would just, make a good story, So it'll be a prompt about, you were going to the market and you had to tell what happened to a loved one.
Okay.
Right for 5 minutes. It was no more than 5 minutes. You have to write for 5 minutes nonstop. And you had to include, and I would say like whatever words, I would let them pick some words and it would be just so random. And, may the best story win, so they would write and they would really get into it. And then they were ready to learn.
Okay.
Their minds were open to what I had to unplug, right? Once we all kind of leveled the playing field. With the same information. But if you come in and you think so-and-so is a better writer than you're comparing yourself, you think, you're just going to fail this class or you're just not as good as the next taking it out of the classroom, right? I'm talking to the community. Somebody else already beat you to the punch. They published 5 books now. They at the bookstore just typing it up and you barely got a word on a page, right? You're comparing yourself and not knowing it. You may not bring their name up, but that's what you have as your default setting. So you have to do something to derail it so that you are not your worst critic. Because you need yourself. You need your emotions. You need your full self to produce, again, the voice, the things that you have to share. We can be talking about the same topic. I'll give you an example of this. I learned this in undergrad. Shout out to Dr. Vivian Hobbs.
Come on, Hobbs.
Yes, that was my I have plenty of stories of Dr. Hobbs, but Dr. Hobbs, so many stories, but Dr. Hobbs would make us do this thing in English literature. I had a 1 and 2. And she was like, I'm your mentor. I said, okay. And what she told us to do was read some piece of literature, whatever it was we're reading on, and then we had to write a 1-pager.
Okay.
MLA format still. So you still had to have your header, all that stuff, but you had to have a beginning, middle, and end on that 1 page and a works cited on the 2nd page. Anything else, if your conclusion wrapped on the page 2, that was for you to put in your grade book. She wasn't reading that page, right? So she really demanded concise writing, right? And she gave us the same thesis. You didn't come up with your own thesis. Everybody had the same thesis. And when I say that leveled the playing field, and I didn't even know how to value that then. I was just like, okay. But we had to introduce it. And there were no 2 papers the same. Wow. Our introductions changed because it was our worldview. How did we see it? So I would put all kinds of things together. I would just, like, hey, this is how I'm going to tell this story. And I refined it. And my examples were different. So I would say that you need to level the playing field for yourself, even if you don't have, before you talk to somebody else. Acknowledge that you are somewhere secretly believing some misconception about yourself in writing. It's okay. We do it from time to time for different things. Writing is no different. It's not like, but if you did it for writing, there's no redemption. We forgive ourselves in so many other places. Why not here? Right. And then let's introduce a new thing. Let's try to write and free writing. Let's just set a timer, 2 minutes. Tell a funny story you had today.
I like that.
Short and sip. I had to do that for my prelims. My major professor was like, I was shaking, y'all. I was like, we had to remember a whole lot of stuff, and I had to cover a whole lot of areas, and I just was so hard on myself. And there's a reason, but anyway, so I was extra hard on myself, and she said, "Okay, we're gonna get to the finish line. I don't want you to worry about the rules right now. 5 minutes." She was like, "I know you know the stuff." You know, because I would talk to her and I'm just like making all these connections and da da da. She was like, "Okay, 5 minutes, but the seat, nothing else but the seat. I want you to just dump it. Dump all you know on that screen about this person, about that person." So when it came time for me to sit for those 3 hours for was it 4 hours for 3 days? See, I blocked it on my mind. But we had to write no notes, just our brilliance in the room. And I was able to make those connections because I had to go through the process of making messy drafts, imperfect drafts, so that I can meet the expectation. I was just inexperienced.
Love it. Love it. All right, Rodney. Wow, this really helped me understand all of the things I went through when writing my book. It's in the publishing phase now. Definitely can use these nuggets of wisdom on my next one. Great topic for today. Need a part 2 for Dr. Mitchell. All right, love it. Janae, good evening, ladies. Thank you again for your transparency, Dr. Kendra Mitchell, and thank you for being innovative in making our students confident writers. Love it. And Master Key said, "I'm going to watch this video 8 more times from all my YouTube channels and like it every time. This is beautiful." Thank you so much, winner. All right. Quasi, he said, "My question is, how do we get this younger generation engaged in reading more works by Black intellectuals?"
Model it. Read with them. So this is so you're tapping into some. So my baby heart is when I came back from South Africa, because some of the work I was doing was in library science. I wanted to volunteer and create a literacy program, and I called it Leading Literate Lives. And it started, and it was L3 to model multilingualism. So, it's all these things. So I got programs. Innovation is not, there's no shortage of that for me.
No shortage.
He has graced me with creativity. My brain, the thing that I used to, think that was so bad, it was so hyperactive. But when you put it in the right context, it makes sense, right? So I can generate a lot of ideas very quickly, and they can be really solid ideas. Not all of them, everything doesn't fly, but I've more, because I have more of them. I have the more opportunities to have things that stick. And so with this, I have ideas about literacy programs to model, especially for young Black men and young Black women, but particularly modeling and mentoring and having, like we have the dads that go to schools or whatever. I was like, I want pop-up literacy programs where we can actually have them journaling and writing together, so that it's not just go read a book. Here's a book, pass it down, but I don't really get to sit and have conversations with you. What if I have a question? What if I don't even know how to read that word and I'm embarrassed? What if this story talks about my life and I don't have nobody to talk about? So how did you navigate it? How did you feel? So having someone that looks like them, talking with them and reading with them, that's something, that's what I say. So we can't just talk at them. We have to do it with them.
Yeah.
Go get them.
Dr. Johnson, I feel like we need to make a book club happen.
No, you the one. So let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. So, this has been a really rich conversation. But we are at the end. So I know I got to give you an opportunity to give some closing remarks. Tell folks how they can connect with you. And again, tell them about the
competition.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot. So yes. So the goal is, and this is to sum it up, this is an opportunity for you to practice what I preach to you, right? And what I live by applying and engaging in this year's Write Your Way Up competition, which is, excuse me, the FAMU America 250 competition. So we're partnering with that. And it's not just writing. If you are designing, excuse me, y'all, if you have particular gifts in art and digital design and those kinds of compositions, we have a list of qualifying options there for that as well. Please, please, please engage it. Again, this is a way for us to give back to have an archive for our future, to look at. And then we will have a ceremony on April 10th. So we would love for you all to come and support that as well, so that we can also support those youth. It's going to be held at FAMU DRS. So what better way to make an impact in the communities that we say we want to really reach out to by showing up.
All right. Yes, absolutely. And there are a myriad of ways that you can connect. Dr. K's email address, the FAMU Writing Resource Center, and Write Your Way Up at famu.edu. So definitely connect, get involved. Definitely, write your way up, right? Write your way up, write your way up. So I hope that you all found this conversation to be beneficial. If you did, let us know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up, a heart, or something, and let us know. And again, we want to encourage you to get involved and reach out to Dr. K. Several of you have in the comments this evening mentioned about your writing process, right? Either you are getting started or you're in the process or you're in edit or what have you. So definitely reach out and get involved. Let's see, Sister Glover, she said it's so wonderful to see your brilliance and how you use it to help our students and those who find themselves in your sphere. Love it. Thank you so
you, Miss Glover.
Yes. So wonderful to see your brilliance and how you share the brilliance with our students and the community. Absolutely. Thank you. Master Key said, count me in. Love it. All right. So listen, we want to encourage folks to keep this conversation going. Please share it with someone that you think will benefit from it. For those of you who may be new to Conversations with Nicole, I invite you to subscribe to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel. We are here Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Focused primarily on mental health and wellness. This was definitely a mindset shift for me this evening. So this was really, really great. I thoroughly enjoyed it and have a whole page of notes. Lots of gems were dropped. I feel very rich as it relates to this conversation. So again, y'all, let's keep this going. Let's write our way up. Okay. Let's write our way up. Thank you so much, Dr. K. This was so informative, and we're gonna have to have you come back for sure.
Yeah, I would love it.
Nice. All right, good people. Y'all have a great rest of the evening, and we will see you next time. Bye.